This is incredible how far we are now. And at this point, we already can list, essentially show the skills, the projects. We can create skills. And this is the turn to allowing to create projects. This is going to be pretty similar, but remember the projects already have different set of, let's say, attributes. Already we have a title, description, the color, and additionally, we have the icon name. So we need to prepare our form for that. Of course, as I said, we are going to use almost everything that we did during the previous class and adapt it for the project structure. So let's go there. Essentially, we need to go and copy all of this. Let me to remove this plus here just in case. And we are going to copy everything after the button. So let's do get from here and up to the jet model. And we are going to paste it directly in the projects all that view. Directly before the table. Here it is. There is the model. And of course, it is the add button. The add button is going to be essentially the same. This is going to click and become acting to true after that. And we are going to add a new what? In this case, we are in the context of our project, so we are going to add a new project. Then, if the user clicks here, so we are going to show this specific form, and the form is going to have the corresponding elements that we need for a project. So, once again, we need to modify this. This is essentially first the title. So we have the project title, and then this is going to be form title. Yeah, you might be guessing good. We are going to create a form object containing the title, the description, and the other elements. So this is going to be the errors for the form title, and we are going to copy this and use it in the same way as we did for the title. So in the state of title, we are going to have description, and of course we have description as well. Then after that, we have two different selects, one for the color, so this is going to be essentially the same as this, but the other is for the icon name. So we need here to send the form icon name to be pretty clear, select an icon, and of course we are going to have a list of icons on the list of available icons. The value is going to be the icon, of course it's going to be icon on singular. So the color here is going to be essentially this. Now the error message is going to be for the icon name, pretty consistent with the value that we are modeling here. And that is essentially all. We can submit and create that specific project. Essentially, we can go back and verify that, but we need all the information from the controller, in this case of the project controller, show it as a property of our form, or basically of our component. And well, we are going to do that pretty similar as we did here in the case of skill. So let's copy the data and the methods, and we are going to put them inside here. We already have the method, so let's do don't replace this. I'm just going to attach this here after the component name method, so we can remove this. And then in the data we have the acting starting with null, perfectly functional, and the form is going to be with the title, the description, the color, and the icon name. All of that pretty consistent. The value that you have here to initialize the form of inertia need to match with the values that you are modeling in the form. So once we have that, we have, of course, the submit method, which is going to be a post request to the project's store action, and then we are going to reset the title, the description, the color, and the icon name. And of course, the acting is going to become null once again to close the actual model. But we need something else. We are missing something else. In the data, essentially, additionally from acting and form in regular, in fact, should be in the properties, we need to add the list of colors coming from the projects and the list of available icons. So we are going to use that essentially as we did. The before that we have here is gonna be in our form for the colors in available colors and for icons in available icons. So we are going to declare both of them as properties. So let's do that in the props. Here it is. And of course, both of them are objects. So let's put object. And that's all. So that means that we need to send them from our project controller. So let's go app HTTP controllers, that is project controller. And essentially we need to do this for projects, available colors and available icons. If you check once again in the definition of project, we have get available text colors and get available icons. So we can use both of those methods here, the text colors and the icons. If everything is okay, so we should be able to go back here, going to projects. Let's do refresh just in case. And it looks like it is here, but I'm pretty sure that there is some kind of error. So let's verify. Of course, I completely forgot to import the definition of get input error, the model, and all of those components. So let's do fix right now this issue. So we are going to use essentially what we did in the case of skills. So let's do copy this. I'm just going up to the part of components and I'm going to paste it here. Of course, we need to use the definition of assigned component. Yet we have the app layout, we have the button, the model, the input, and the input error. All of them are perfectly functional here. And of course, the define assigned component is used to resolve on real time the project icon. So let's go back here and refresh. Now it looks pretty much better. Let's do the same for the location of our button here. So let's move that to the right, as we did in the case of skills. So let's go faster to the top of our form. And this one is going to be text right. Perfect. But of course, in the case of the table, we are going to have text left. So let's use text left here. Once again, let's go back, refresh a little detail. Here it is. Now we can add new. And we need a little margin there. We are going to put it in a few seconds. So we have the list of colors. We have the list of icons, and of course here we have the title and the description. So let's add a margin top for the case of the description. Let's put it in the beginning, margin top of 5, for example, to be pretty consistent. And now let's go to our backend and implement the functionality. We are already on project controller, so let's copy that from skill controller as well, because we are going to have a pretty similar functionality. So here it is. Public function store. We already have the definition of request here. We are going to validate the title. Then we are going to have the description. Then we have the full list of colors. And then we are going to have the icon name. Of course, this is going to be pretty different. Now, in the case of a project, the title is required, the maximum of 255. But now the uniqueness should come, of course, from project. Again, the title of the project should be unique, but now in the case of the description, it should not be unique, not necessarily. We don't design our database that way. So we need to remove that, but once again, the maximum should be 255. Now, in the case of the color, it is once again required, but should be in the list of available colors of the project. Remember, if we go to the definition of our project, this should come from the results getting from the get available text color. So this should come from project. And of course, the method is get available text colors. And similarly, in the case of icon's name, in fact, should be icon name on singular, must be pretty consistent. It is required, but now the value of that should be coming from the elements that we have in the get available icon. So once again, we have project. And the name of the method is get available icons. That's perfectly all. We already performed the validation and now we can create a project using create, sending all the information that we received from the request and that we already know is valid, and return a redirect to projects index. We basically did the same, changing that to projects and adding the corresponding elements that we need, the corresponding attributes. So once again, if we go back here and refresh, we're going to have the fix for the margin top, separating the input for the title and the description, as you can see here, much better. And then we are going, if we send, we are going to have, oops, it looks like an error. I forgot to import the definition of rule, very important, coming once again from illuminate validation rule. And now if I close this and try to send again, here it is. We have all of the validations pretty functional. And let's create one. Let's imagine that your project is a RESTful API, a shop, system API, something like that. and we are going to put this on green, and we are going to use the dollar symbol or something like that. And if we submit, everything is functional. Here it is, RESTful API with the description, the color, the icon, and we can add a new one if you prefer. And of course, if we go to our actual portfolio, you can see that in the list of projects already with that corresponding attribute that you define, as you can see here, it is RESTful API with that specific information. So that's all. At this point, you already can create essentially a list of, well, projects for your portfolio, and the same for skills. And now let's see in the following class, how can we easily edit all of the information from an existing skill or for an existing project using the same folder we already have here, making that dynamic on real time. Let's see how to do that because it's gonna be pretty interesting.